When Betsy mentions that Becky will be joining them for lunch, Carla forces herself to put on a grin. Yet, the moment Becky reaches across to pinch a bite of Lisa's meal, Carla's unease becomes obvious. Becky insists she's only searching for a bit of normal life. Snapping, Carla fires back that it's clear what Becky's after, and it certainly isn't normality. Branding both Lisa and Becky as delusional, Carla storms away. Later, Carla heads over to the police station, confiding in Kit that she doesn't buy Becky's version of events and suspects there's more to uncover. But does Kit agree with her doubts? Elsewhere, an anxious Todd admits to Shona and Gary that he had a blazing row with Theo the previous night, after which Theo stormed out and Todd hasn't seen him since. Matters grow worse when Jake pops into the cabin and hands Brian a phone, leaving Todd rattled as Brian confirms it belongs to Theo. What could have happened to him? At the same time, Kit is taken into an interview room at the station where he comes face to face with Bethany. She explains that she left her London job, took her boss's car without asking, and drove back to Manchester, now landing herself accused of stealing it. Can Kit find a way to get Bethany out of this mess? Bethany later admits to Sarah that she resigned before she was pushed out and that she's returned to stay. But how will Daniel handle the shock of Bethany's comeback? Meanwhile, keeping her feelings hidden, Asha reassures Dev that withdrawing her complaint was the correct choice. And in another moment, Glenda reveals to George that she's written a list of Christina's strengths and flaws. But when Christina walks in, she quickly snatches the paper from her grasp. Coronation Street airs every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. on ITV1, with episodes also available on ITVX. All Coronation Street spoilers for next week as a night out spells trouble. Is it ever possible to enjoy a night out without a bit of chaos? Not on Coronation Street. When several residents hit Canal Street hoping for an unforgettable evening, Theo Silverton certainly gets one, when he comes face to face with someone from his past. Meanwhile, Carl Webster sinks even lower by exploiting Debbie Webster's dementia to disguise his secret fling with Abby Webster. At the same time, Jenny Connor's attempt to hold on to her man faces another obstacle, while Asha Alahan finds herself caught out by Dev Alahan. And if that wasn't enough, Bethany Platt finally makes her long-awaited return to Weatherfield. With all this and more on the horizon, here's a glimpse at what's coming up in next week's Corey. Abby visits the hotel and admits to Carl she isn't in the mood for intimacy, dreading the birthday meal planned with Kevin and Jack Webster. Sneakily, Carl messages James Bailey. When Debbie notices Abby carrying a hotel key card, she demands an explanation. Abby pretends it's from an old stay she forgot to return, but when Debbie insists she doesn't recall booking it, Carl cruelly convinces her that her memory loss is at fault. Feeling embarrassed, Debbie walks away, while Abby is left uneasy at Carl's manipulative tactics. Later at the hotel, Debbie checks CCTV for a theft and catches sight of Abby walking towards Carl's room. Pounding on the door, what will she uncover? Elsewhere, Todd Grimshaw mentions he agreed to help Billy Mayhew at the soup kitchen, which irritates Theo. Billy pops into the bistro and is taken aback to find Theo comforting Danielle Silverton. Returning to the community center, Theo lashes out at Todd and Billy before offering Mary Taylor a hand with the tables. Suddenly, Theo cries out in pain after jamming his finger. While Todd runs for the first aid kit, Theo smirks to himself. Meanwhile, Glenda Shuttleworth tells Jenny and Rita Tanner about her plan to fix the speed dating event so Jenny gets first pick of George Shuttleworth instead of Christina Midgley. But just as Glenda starts drawing the names, Rita phones Jenny to say she's taken a fall, leaving Jenny devastated. Nina Lucas frets over Asha as she keeps downing the alcohol. Todd is taken aback when Theo agrees to join him. Sean Tully, James, Mary, Glenda, and Christina for a night out on Canal Street, the heart of Manchester's gay scene. Inside the club, the group are having a blast until a stranger locks eyes with Theo, clearly stunned. Theo fixes him with a glare until the man, Owen, bolts out in a hurry. Encouraged by Theo, Todd heads to dance with the others. But when Theo slips off to the toilets, Owen confronts him, demanding answers. Theo drags him outside and warns him to stay away. But who exactly is Owen? Debbie gives Abby an ultimatum. Pack up and leave number 13 or she'll spill everything to Kevin. Meanwhile, George pops round with soup for Rita. Conscious that she exaggerated Rita's condition to win sympathy, Jenny quickly ushers him out. But when Brian Packham lets slip that Rita only suffered a sprain, how will George take the news? Feeling guilty, Jenny admits to Rita that she lied about her being gravely ill because she craved the attention. Will Rita forgive her again, or is this one betrayal too far? Over at the hospital, Asha watches the paramedics rushing about and feels more isolated than ever. Later, when Sienna stops by the shop, Dev realizes Asha still hasn't returned to work. He calls her out on her lies, leaving Asha humiliated as she storms off. Tyrone Dobbs makes his return, this time in a wheelchair. Elsewhere, when Betsy Swain announces that Becky Swain will be joining them for lunch, Carla Connor forces a polite smile. But when Becky cheekily steals a bite from Lisa Swain's plate, Carla's unease becomes obvious. Becky insists she's craving some normal life again. Snapping, Carla retorts that it's obvious what Becky really wants, and it's not normality. Branding Becky and Lisa delusional, Carla storms out. Later, Carla visits the station and confides in Kit Green that she doesn't buy Becky's story and suspects there's more to it. But does Kit agree? Shaken, Todd confides in Shona Platt and Gary Windus that he argued with Theo the night before. Theo stormed off and hasn't been seen since. Things take a darker turn when Jake arrives at the cabin and hands Brian a phone, which turns out to belong to Theo. Todd is horrified. What has happened to him? At the police station, Kit is shown into an interview room where Bethany is waiting. She admits she quit her job in London, borrowed her boss's car without consent, and drove north, now facing accusations of theft. Can Kit get her out of trouble? Later, Bethany tells Sarah Platt she resigned before she was pushed and that she's home for good. But how will Daniel Osborne take her dramatic return? Elsewhere on the cobbles, Asha continues to wrestle with her emotions. Determined not to let anyone see how conflicted she really feels, she puts on a brave face in front of Dev. She insists that she made the right call in retracting her complaint, but deep down, it's clear the decision is eating away at her. Dev, meanwhile, can't help but worry that his daughter is hiding the truth about how much the whole ordeal has affected her. Is Asha protecting herself, or simply pushing her pain further down? At the Rovers, Glenda has her own problems brewing. Convinced that George deserves better than Christina, she painstakingly draws up a list of her rivals' pros and cons, certain that it will prove her point. But Glenda's scheming backfires when Christina suddenly appears, snatches the paper from her hands, and realizes exactly what Glenda has been up to. George is left caught in the middle of the confrontation as sparks fly between the two women. And it's not long before tensions threaten to explode. Coronation Street continues every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. on ITV1, with episodes also streaming on ITVX.